Okay, so let's move to a bit of a different track for a moment. I'm going to speak about public outreach, science communication, and I will speak for the work done in the work package number 10 in this project, and especially for the work made mainly by...
You wanted it in Google Slides, right? That's right. You wanted your presentation
in Google Slides, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, perfect. I need 20 seconds more, right? So I was saying, I'm presenting this, but this is mainly the work by Rosa, who is sharing now. So big thanks to her and to the rest of the people in this work package. So, okay. So why science communication? Why we that are very occupied scientists should do science communication? Well, 25 years ago, in which was the president of the current World Science Forum, they said, okay, scientific knowledge should be shared. This is something that should be the job of government, civil society, we the scientists. We should be governed by ethical standards, and we should see the communication of science as a vital responsibility. So we must do that. In addition, in our current EU project, we have two main points in the grant agreements. So for us, it's mandatory to disseminate our results through scientific publications, for example, and also for multiple audiences. So we cannot forget about the general public in the diffusion of our results. So how can we do that? Well, come back to the beginnings of the science, let's say, through the famous Einstein, and apparently he said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simple, so keep it simple. But that's not true, because this is not the real quote even. So it was too simple for the quote. So the real quote was something similar to this in a lecture in 1933. So, well, let's read it: that make basic elements as simple as possible, but without having to surrender to an adequate representation. So what does it mean? What should we take into account when we are doing science communication? Well, first of all, our audience, who are going to be listening to us, and the channels. How can we communicate, through which media, which channels? We have to take into account, in addition, two main points here when we do science communication that for me are mandatory, very relevant, which is a gender perspective, because we women scientists are the 50% of the population. Ideally, if we take out scientists, women are 50% of the population. And in addition, we have to take into account that we are diverse. We are not only as I am, for example. So first, are we talking to scientists? We can use a specific language, or we are talking to general people, so we should use a more day-to-day language. So who is our audience? Of course, we want it all. We want to reach every people, every age, every background, every origin, every interest, and everything. Okay, so we have to reach experts, of course. We have to reach our colleagues. We have to communicate our results in a technical way. So the normal way to do that is through the papers. These are some of the papers that we have published in our project. For Examen to Athena, we also provide a current, up-to-date status of the development in our work packages, so that the public is continuously informed our progresses, if any. We provide the catalogs, the tools, the platforms that we develop, for example, the SCD fighting that we have listened to these days. But we also want to reach people that are interested in science, but they are not experts. They understand what we are talking about. Maybe they are scientists from other disciplines, maybe they are politicians, which is nice to be informed because they have the funding. So how can we reach them? We publish what we call Science to Go, that are small pills of information in a non very technical language, easy to understand. It's like a summary of some piece of information with a nice image on the side. And this is provided by the work packages related to the themes they work on. So we have done this by now. Very nice. Please read it. And then we can reach the general people. What does this mean? This is people from the general population that has interest in science. They may be kids, they may be senior people, or whatever. For this, we periodically participate in what we call international initiatives, not specifically focused to any age or to any background. Like, for example, the week, Science Weeks, or the European Researchers' Night. We have participated in the Black Hole Week, always taking into account, as I said, gender perspective and diversity as much as possible. So for this, we give a lot of talks at school. We interact with kids, with some models that they can touch. We can explain them science face to face. For the European Researchers' Nights, in our project, we have participated through material that we have developed, for example, Kahoots or quizzes that are public in our webpage. You can use it for your outreach projects. We also created a meme contest. This was nice, very successful. And something that we do from a couple of years ago is to join with other large projects to share efforts. We participate with the Athena Community Office, the Athena Instrument Consortiums, and the European Project Ahead 2020, also in providing these initiatives. We collaborated in the Black Hole Week with something that we publish in the social media for questions and answers related to black holes. And we use this to make visible some of our female researchers here in the project. We participate all the years in the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, which is the 11th February, through, for example, a haiku contest or a crossword about female astronomers. This is the contest this year that was to create, the idea was to create an infographics about a female astronomer, a relevant female astronomer, or a day-to-day normal unknown female astronomer, about her research, her project life, or whatever. To make more public the efforts and the research of our female astronomers in the project, we created also this for the 11th of March, the Women's Day. And we also collaborate as much as possible in local initiatives, every one of the members of the project locally, and very different initiatives. For example, the collaboration of IRIS in the International Conference of Women in Physics, or the book in which Natalie has participated, some general public talks, this talk by Francisco to senior people. And especially, we are very, very focused on students, because this is a very, very nice experience to work with a student. And we do that, we will say, two main aspects: going to the schools ourselves and give the talks. This is a really, really nice experience. This is one of my favorites, going to talk to them, because they are very nice, especially the case of 3 years old. They are amazing. They know a lot. And they are amazing. And sorry. Oh. Sorry. And I'm very proud of this initiative that it reaches our second edition, which we call the International Masterclass of Astrophysics. This is a collaboration between IRAP and IFCA for high school students. We use this amazing platform that Hugo has just presented, Claxo, and bring students to our institute to classify sources. If Hugo has went down for a few more rows, you have had the opportunity to see our students, because in competition, they are great. A team in France and a team in Spain competing, that's great. So this is some photographs from this year, this edition. They were classifying for a morning and then putting all these experiences together. It was great. And the feedback is very, very positive. They are very engaged. They are super happy to have classified 1,000, 2,000 sources in a morning, because they cannot stop clicking. You have to say, well, stop, you have to take some biscuits. No, I want to click. So this is amazing. And finally, we also want not only to give some contents to the public, but also to show who we are. And for this, we want to put faces behind all this effort. So we have published what we call the profiles of the bios of the members of the consortium. So there is something like the small pieces of science to go that I've talked about, but with the information of the members of our consortium. All of this is public in our webpage. Oops, this goes too fast. Okay, so this for the audience. Now for the channels, what channels should we use? What do we have in hand? Well, we have the normal channels that we are used to, and now we have to join inevitably to the new channels, okay? Because people come from different backgrounds, not all ages respond in the same way to all the channels. The young people does not read, that's clear. They only tweet or TikTok or whatever. So again, we want it all. Okay, the more the merrier. We want to reach people through all the possibilities. No one can escape. So the formal, you know them. These are the peer-reviewed journals. That's known. We use the server providers for the data, or the platforms. This is for scientists. These are formal channels. This is one of the formal channels of communication. Create a workshop. Please listen to the talk by Natalie afterwards to see how we designed this conference to be gender inclusive, diversity inclusive. This is not easy, so we made our best effort to see after that. And the other formal channel is the webpage, of course, because people is used to go to look for information, especially people our age, my age, let's say, to go to a webpage and look for the information. To be inclusive, we have tried to put this in 4 different languages. This is a lot of effort. Thank you to all the language providers, so that people from different countries can join easily. We provide outreach materials. They are for free. They are things to print, contest like Kahoot or whatever, crosswords, puzzles. And then something which seems to be out of date, but we think that it works, is to use models, mock models that people can touch, because at the end, you are always looking for Twitter quickly for news, but it's amazing the effects of something that you can touch. So this is, for example, a model of Athena, the satellite of Athena that we have now hung on our institute. This is a model of a black hole with the different parts. Okay. Or this is a gravitational table here for the European Researchers Night. And we make use, of course, of Twitter. Well, for me, it will be always Twitter. Let's say X, Facebook. If we were to start now, we would join LinkedIn, but we are finishing the project, so there's no point. We have created a podcast with the outcomes of Work Package 9. You can find this in Spotify. It's really nice about transcendent variability in astronomy. It's really nice. And for the first time, I give you the premiere of our video. Look for it here.
MaiteXM and Newton, recent discoveries have ushered in the era of multi-wavelength and multi-messenger. And leading the charge into this new era is the Athena project, the next-generation X-ray observatory that promises to redefine, revolutionize our understanding of the cosmos.
And that's not all. Work Package 9 aims to demonstrate the scientific value of these tools through exemplar projects that push the boundaries of what we know about our universe.
The future of astronomy starts now, and you're a part of it.
Okay, this is just a teaser. So you have to go here. Please note that. And of course, you have to give us a like. This is very important because this is the account for the European community. I've said that you have to go here. Yeah, you have to go here. No, nothing. So let's finish that. Move on. What are the lessons that we have learned from this project? Okay, first lesson. Format channel for experts have to be maintained. We cannot avoid publishing in peer-reviewed papers. This is normal, but we need to promote this through social media, or whatever other channel that we have. This is important. Student-oriented activities are the best. They always work. So this is a very important channel for us to make science communication. Do not underestimate new channels for broad communication, social media, podcasts, films, or whatever, but take into account that continuity is important. You have to do that periodically with a lot of contents. And the market is a bit difficult because there are lots of contents outside. The internet is full of content, so it's difficult to engage. You can put things there, but it's difficult to engage. It's difficult to find a niche for a small project like this one with a limited period of time, just 3 years. You have to do a lot of things for 3 years, and after that, the project is gone. So, but okay, this is what we have. And finally, collaboration in the team is mandatory. We need that the scientists in the work packages provide us with the material. Otherwise, science communication has no point because there is no science to communicate. So I take here the opportunity to thank all of the members of our XMN to Athena project for the great collaboration in providing us with contents. So for you to take some messages home, broad audience means different contents. You have to span. This also means different channels. Try to get all of them. Rely on other institutions, your local institutions, to support you because they have the infrastructure and you can just join for your projects. Keep always in mind that this has to take into account gender diversity, inclusivity, gender perspective in any way. You have to be inclusive in all the things you do. Because if you want that at the end, more Einstein appears, everybody deserves science knowledge. Thank you.
Thanks, Maite, for the talk. Any question?
Hi, this is Phil Evans. So I'm very interested in some of this, and particularly, as you know, when we try to apply for any initiatives now, we're all told about metrics. You know, how can you prove it works? And you mentioned with a short-term project, this is quite difficult. Do you have any advice or larger scale systems in which you can see, for example, how many of the kids that you reached at school went on to choose physics at university? I mean, they won't have done yet. So is there any kind of program or larger scale structure for monitoring the impact of that kind of thing?
Yeah, and the first question was, sorry, I
Well, the
couldn't-
question is, how do you tell if you reach all these kids at school?
Yeah.
How do you tell whether it affects their choices at university, for
Okay,
example?
okay. Okay, I just said for a small scale project, it's difficult to monitor, but we monitor how people is engaged in our social media, for example, and it's always rising, but not very fast, let's say. But for larger projects, for example, I'm also part of the Athena Community Office. We have an engagement rate which is larger than this one. We see the people engaging and responding to our initiatives. But maybe the best point from my point of view is our own institutions. For example, we at IFCA have a large, for a very long, very large number of years tradition of doing this kind of research. And I'm very proud to say that this year, for the first year, the engagement of, for example, women and men, young women and men in the physics degree has been 50-50.
Oh, wow.
So for the first year and for the first time in Spain, okay, it has been in Santander. And we received the feedback of the students, and they said that these initiatives are very, very relevant. At the school, they all told us that kids are very interested in science, and when they see you there physically, with or without the code, this is very relevant for them, for the kids, for the girls and for the boys. So I think that very little steps, but we are doing this research.
More question?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same question, but I'm going to phrase things a little bit differently. I was involved in this sort of thing 30 years ago for quite some time. And always the question was, how do you define success? What were you doing to get to that success? What measures you would have? But you pretty much answered that. I'll ask the next question. Is there a means by which you get that intermediate section, which is you're talking to people, you're hoping they're going to go to college, university, and become engineers and scientists. In between, what do they do? And I think there may be a room there to actually take on an initiative which basically says, you've heard about this, you're interested in this, we can give you careers advice effectively. Is that a mode that makes any sense in the kind of thing you're doing? You say, you get hold of the students, they're interested in what you're talking about, you can say, come and talk with us, we can tell you how you can do this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I haven't had time to explain all the possible initiatives. Success is a very difficult thing to measure in this environment. I can think of several metrics, but it's difficult to say. Is the number of people that is engaged in your initiatives? Okay, for me, if this is something that is increasing, this is a success. If you are reaching more than 1, 2 or 3 people, this is a success, especially for small people, for small projects, because you never know which are you awakening in who is the person that listening to you or teaching one of your initiatives awakes for science. So for me, just one of them is a success. And about the second question, yeah, we have also programs in which once they are interested in science, they come to our institutions and we do some kind of mentoring in which we explain the way we work and they guide them in the choices they want to make, because sometimes they are only interested in science and they don't know in which specifics. So we provide them some guides and we work with them in small projects, in very little projects, so that they can touch the science So yeah, we do that.
So we haven't time for more questions. Thanks again, Maite.